Hello Year 4, Miss Martin here. I hope you're all doing well at home and staying safe and still working very hard. Now this week we are moving on to time, and Thursday's lesson I'll be explaining for you right now. The LO for this lesson is to convert between analog and digital times using a 24-hour clock. Now to be successful in this lesson, we need to know what an analog clock is, we need to know what a digital clock is, we need to be able to convert between both analog and digital clocks. Now to begin, we're going to quickly recap telling the time. Now we should all be very confident with this, as you have learnt this throughout so many years at St. Joseph's. However, let's quickly just check over. Now on a clock, there are two hands. We have the long hand, which is the minute hand, and we have the short hand, which is the hour hand. Now it's important to remember, whichever number the hour hand is pointing at, that is the hour that the time is. But if my hour hand is not pointing exactly at a number, you must look at the number that the hand has recently passed. So if my hour hand is in between the 2 and the 3, my hour hand is passing the 2, so it means my hour is still on the 2. It's not quite hit the 3 just yet. Now when looking at the minute hand, my minute hand will go around the clock and point to all these tiny little intervals and then also reach the larger intervals. Now each interval represents 1 minute. So if I have my 5 intervals here, this means it's 5 minutes. And then again, 10 minutes past, 15 minutes past, which is also known as quarter past, 20 minutes past, 25 minutes past, and then right through to halfway, which we call half past, or 30 minutes past. And then as my minute hand passes the halfway mark, I'm going back to the next hour. So it means my minute hand is going to be called 2. So 25 minutes to, 20 minutes to, 15 minutes to, also known as quarter to, 10 minutes to, and then 5 minutes to. Now, I would like you to have a go at telling the times of these 3 examples here. Pause the screen so you can have a go as I'll go through the answers in a moment. Okay, the first one is 5 minutes past 11, 25 minutes past 4, and 6 o'clock. I hope you did find that quite easy. Okay, so an analog clock. This type of clock has moving hands and has the numbers 1 up to 12 written on them. This clock uses a 12-hour clock. Now here is an example of a 12-hour analog clock. Here in the inside, I've got my 12 numbers. Then on the outside, there are a few larger numbers. Now we need to think, what are those larger numbers? Now we know that a normal day has 24 hours, and those 24 hours are split into 2 parts. Each part is 12 hours. The first 12 hours, which are these 12 here, are called the AM. And this comes from the Latin phrase before noon. The second part of the day is called the PM, which comes from the Latin phrase after midday. Now looking at my clock here, I can tell that these first 12 hours in the day, the middle section, is the AM. These are those first 12 hours we experience. In those 12 hours, you will be sleeping, and then you will wake up, you'll brush your teeth, get ready for the day, come to school, and then once it reaches 12 o'clock, we go into the PM, which are my next 12 hours of the day. In those 12 hours, we usually have our lunch, we go home from school, you have your dinner, you might watch some TV and do your homework, and then you'll go back to bed. And that is how our 24 hours in the day are split. So when using an analog clock, it is important to know whether it is the AM or the PM. Because analog clocks don't tell you if it's the AM or the PM, you need to use your judgment. So we just went through a few just now, but would you go to school in the AM or the PM? You'd go to school in the AM. Would you wake up in the AM or the PM? You'd wake up in the AM. And finally, you'd eat your dinner. Yep, in the PM. So, like I said before, this chart shows you a conversion between a 12-hour clock and a 24-hour clock. Now, you may have noticed that there is a pattern to work out the 24-hour version of a 12-hour. All you have to simply do is add those 12 hours on. 1 plus 12 is 13. 2 plus 12 is 14. 3 plus 12 is 15. It's important to remember that once the clock shows 12 o'clock, we are in the afternoon. But 00 is the morning, is midnight. Now, a digital clock. There are no hands on a digital clock, just numbers. These clocks can use a 24-hour, so it's much easier to read. When reading a digital clock, there are two numbers separated by a colon. So the first number is the hour, and the second number is the minutes. Now, using what we've just learned about 24-hour clock, it may be easier for us to read 24 hours on a digital clock. So to understand this time, we need to use that 12-hour trick to help us. So 1835, we've got to think, how can I show that on a 12-hour clock? So last time we added 12. This time I can simply just take away 12. And 18 take away 12 is 6. And my minutes stays the same. So this time, if you're not too sure what 1835 is, you will simply just take away your 12 and it becomes 6:35. So what I would like you to do is pause the screen and have a go. First of all, telling me what this time is in words, so on an analog clock, and then tell me what this time is in the AM, and then tell me what it is in the PM. Make sure you use your conversion sheet to help you. Let me put this over here so you have this here to help you. Okay, so pause the screen and have a go. Okay, so I can see my minutes hand is on the 2, so it means it's 10 minutes past, and my hour hand is on the 9, so this is 10 minutes. I'm just going to write mins past 9. And then on a digital clock in the AM means it would be 09. Looking at my form sheet over here, I know 9 AM is just like this. 09, and then there are 10 minutes, so colon 10. If you want to, you can write AM here, so you're very sure. And now, converting that to the PM, I go to my sheet over here, I can see 9 PM becomes 21. Added 12 onto 9, it makes 21. So it becomes 21 hours and still the 10 minutes, which is in the PM. Now that I've explained that for you, if you did find that a bit tricky, try and have a go doing the next one on your own. Okay, so looking at this time, I can see it is 10 minutes to 2 o'clock. I'm going to write 10 mins to 2. On digital clock, 2 o'clock. Let's go for the AM side time. So it's going to be, oh, actually, it's not quite 2 o'clock, so I need to go to the 1 up here. So because it's not quite 2 o'clock, and I know the hour before 2 o'clock is 1 o'clock, so it would be 01, and then think about my minutes. How many minutes is this on? It's on 50 minutes. And now converting that to PM, I know 1 p.m. plus 12 is 13, so it's going to be 13 hours and 50 minutes in the PM. Okay, so that can be quite tricky, but what this is just a lot of practicing and lots of realizing that what the 24-hour version of each number is. So what I would just do is go and do lots of practicing and just memorize that, for example, 5 a.m. is 17 p.m. 8 a.m. is 20 p.m. So it is just a lot of practicing, but I hope this has helped you and it will help you with this lesson. So have a lovely week and I will be back with another maths video soon.